I don't know what he's got going there. Can you hear us, dude? I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
No. If you can hear us, you just got to switch on your microphone, the left side.
Come on. What amateur hour over here. So he broadcasts out of his parents' basement. Look at the back wall there.
Look at that. That is a nice.
I think it works
wall.
now, right?
There
we
you
go.
are.
Yay.
Look at that. Look at that background.
Look at
That is. It's good stuff right there. I mean, there's
is
not anything there I don't love, except for, is that Slayer on the right? Yeah, Slayer.
Striper.
Yeah. Oh, Striper. I don't know them.
Yellow and Black Attack.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
They're like a Christian metal.
Christian metal band.
To hell with the devil.
The hell with the devil. Everything else, the Nintendo, the Hulk, the Pee Wee Herman, is that E.T., Ghostbusters, Michael Jackson? I don't know what the map is. What's that map of?
You got Goonies here with the Goonies.
Oh, Goonies. That's new.
Book.
That wasn't there last week.
No. No, it's new.
Nice.
Wow.
Every week we should be adding to it. The 80s smaller.
My favorite is, of course, the out of time license plate.
Right?
I mean,
That was
that
the numero uno.
near and dear to my heart. Near and dear.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything,
No.
Wessly? Yeah. So we have Wessly Anderson here.
Yes. How's it going, man?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
So
So,
what were we talking about? Fill me in, boys.
what? Fill in.
Welcome to the Insurance Dudes, a podcast for insurance agency owners, helping us to think of different ways to optimize our business and our lives.
This week on the Insurance Dudes, we have Wessly Anderson. What happens when a tech dude becomes an insurance agent? This episode's gonna blow your mind.
I was born and raised in a tech company. My dad started a tech company mid 90s. So I guess I wasn't born into it. I was young.
Which company?
And it's called IROM. So really what he did was, before people were, or companies were large enough to have their own tech department, he would go in and be the tech department for them. And so there was coding, there was programming, there was networking. I mean, he was the buy-all, be-all for anything technologically related. And so, like, for me growing up, everyone else, was out playing guns and out riding bikes. And my dad had me, put together 4 computers before I could go out. Like, he started me working on things really, really young. When I graduated high school, I thought everybody had to know how to code and program and network. I didn't think that there was anything unique about that because it's all I'd ever known. And so when I was 24, I realized that my dad was so good at what he did that no matter how much I worked my butt off, I would always be Jimmy's boy, which isn't a bad thing because he's a great man, but I wanted to create and I wanted to have my own part of the world. Like I wanted to be myself. And so it was really hard. I told him I wasn't going to be his succession plan. And we began to select, what industries suck at technology. What are just like sucky suck. And so we looked at real estate, we looked at lending, and then we did some research on insurance. And it was a Sunday night. And that Monday I went in and I started studying. Spent 7 days in the library, gave my dad my cell phone, went and took the test. All of a sudden I had a license with no knowledge except for that insurance sucked with technology. And we just went at it. It was a lot of, I say we, because my dad is still the guy that I meet with, once every 2 weeks and have lunch, and I present my problems with my companies, and he has suggestions, but he hates insurance with a passion. So, and there's the emotion behind, I was his set up and established succession plan, and insurance took that away. And so I kind of think in his heart, he wouldn't have been super upset if I failed at it. Which there were many days and he told me at the starting, and I'll never forget his words. He said, "You want to create, you can't create unless you feel pain." And I'm like, what? And I had a brand new, beautiful condo. I had 2 kids under 3. I was married for a little bit, and my dad was like, this is too easy, dude. And so when I did insurance, the economics of insurance, it's not that same lifestyle. I had to leave my condo, move into my mother-in-law's basement, 1 bedroom, 2 children, suck up my pride. It was a lot of pain. And my dad was like, now you can create. And so it was sucky. All the while when we would meet, he'd be like, dude, here's the way out, come back. And I'm like, I can't, like, I gotta see this through. So the first couple of years were, it was.
Yeah. Appetite was awesome. Then they got money, and then all the rest of the album sucked.
Yep. And so it was a terrible couple of years. Awesome. What were you going to say, Craig?
I just said Lies had a couple good songs on it.
Right. Which was recorded during Appetite.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well played, sir.
So yeah, came from the tech world, went in the insurance world, started agency number 1 in Salt Lake City, Utah. I think it was 3 or 4 years after agency 1. I was sitting with my dad. I'll never forget. He was eating a sandwich. He had mayonnaise on his face. He was grossing me out. And I said, Dad, I need a higher density population. And I get more credit for this next move than really how it went down. Like, people like, oh, you're so smart. You started an office in LA. No, it really went down like, we Googled, what has the highest density population within 600 miles? Los Angeles. Went there the next weekend, opened up an office, started another agency.
Nice.
Which, had I had any kind of mentor or any guidance, someone would have said, hey, ding dong, create a sub agency. Don't get a new tax ID. Don't get new carrier appointments. Don't restart the game. But I did not. And so I currently have the 2 agencies. They're completely separate. There's no employee that exists in both of them. They're entirely ran separate.
Wow. Different names?
Different names, different everything, different LLCs, different tax IDs. I had to re-get every carrier appointment.
So yeah, you're really good at starting another company.
Or I'm really stupid.
Well, maybe it's usually somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Maybe somewhere in the middle there. Yeah. So I started that one in LA. It's been a couple years now. So now they're both running. The only parity, because I'm such a tech nerd, I split test everything I do. So if I have a rater here, I won't get the same rater here. If I have a automation platform here, I do something different here. And I split test everything because I don't have that gut feeling that all the awesome insurance agents have. I'm just so data driven. And I can't say, yeah, she's good at insurance because I feel like it. I don't freaking know. So I look at the data. So the only thing and the only parity that I have between the 2 is both of them use a lot of virtual assistants. Both LA and both Utah, we have virtual assistants doing a lot.
And how did you get into the virtual assistant game?
So that started with my dad's company. That was kind of my area. So I think he started in 97. In the late 90s, that was my jam. I was always helping if we needed a project in development. My dad would be like, hey, you need to go get a virtual assistant to help with that, to assist you. Go at it. And so I started way, way young. And so when I got into insurance, I was like, why aren't these guys using VAs? Like, there are so many $10 an hour tasks that they're paying $17 an hour for, or, and the person's unhappy to do them. There's so much in insurance that would kind of be your play in the mud type task. Cold calling is the phone is not dead. Like, we have great success with that. Quoting, answering of our phones. Pretty much I sit down weekly, and if it's a $10 an hour task, I try to get a virtual assistant to do it. So anyways, I was doing it with my agency. Your question was, how did I come about it? And I thought everybody else was. It was going great. We were hitting great numbers. Most specifically, our outbound calls were just dwarfing everyone else because, you get an American, a college kid to come in and make outbound calls. And if it's a cold call, they're going to do 50 to 80, if you're lucky, and they're going to leave you in 3-4 weeks. Well, we were getting virtual assistants that were consistently making hundreds of calls every single day. And it was about 2 years ago in in the LA agency, I got 10 of them. So I woke up, I told my dad, I've got this database of people that we quoted and not closed. I have this, it just seems like gold to me of data. Like, how do I use it? My dad was like, well, have you picked up the phone? I was like, no. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. And so I got 10 the next day. and they just called, they verified data. This was the very first task that we went really crazy with. They verified the information. Do you still have the 97 Camry? You know, blah, 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 blah. And then they would live transfer to my agents. And so that was like the first undertaking. And I realized, oh my gosh, like other agents need this. And so I began speaking at conferences about it. I've done tons of podcasts about it. And it just morphed into a company. And the company is a couple months old. We'll be hitting our year mark this summer.
Awesome.
Nice.
But that company is really fun. I've been able to use, because insurance, I have limitations on what I can do technologically, because you got to play by, you know, the rules that exist within your DOI, and you've got to, oh my gosh, everything is made so much harder than it should be. Whereas agency VA, it's like a tech company. I get to do, you know, what I want, the softwares I develop. I'm not concerned about, you know, one of the ones that we did, it does every keystroke of the VA, every mouse movement, every screen refresh, and it throws it into an algorithm, and it tells your VA's performance and workload capacity 1 through 100. Because I used to sit down with my team and be like, okay, well, I think she's good, but why? And so our software now gives them a number 1 out of 100, and that's their performance. And so that was one of the first cool softwares I got to develop with Agency VA, and I just get to keep on working with them.
Wow. So let me try to follow that process. So you have this, you know, a bucket of VAs,
Mm-hmm.
and based on how they perform, they get a ranking. And I would guess then that of those 3 tiers you have on your website, they then move up in how they get paid. So they have a huge incentive to be a 97 instead of a 3, because they make more.
Everything is entirely performance based, again, because I need that data, and I don't have the gut feeling of, I think they're good. And from a scalability perspective, you know, managing 20 virtual assistants, it's okay. But, you know, we quickly eclipsed 100 virtual assistants as we started offering them to other agencies. And that in and of itself, just logistics of that, we needed a software that held everybody accountable, and that nightly, so the insurance agency owner nightly gets a report. It shows screenshots of their VA. It has all keystroke, all mouse movement, all refresh rate, and then a score every night. And so we tell them if they're scoring a 97, that's bad, actually. That means they're not using the restroom. They're on a one-way ticket to be burnt out. We've learned that anywhere between 63 and maybe upper 70s is very, very healthy. That's when the needle of production on whatever you have the virtual assistant doing moves forward. In contrast, I've plugged that software in with my Americans, and I'm all about America. So like, this isn't like a poo-poo on America. Like I just sold a diesel truck, but you know, like diesel truck, American flag flying, baby. Like I'm all about it. I just didn't have Americans that wanted to do these tasks. But when I plugged my Americans into this software, what do you think they scored?
50.
30.
50s, 30s to 50s. Yep. Consistently. My good ones.
The land of abundance.
The land of abundance, baby. Yeah. You know, that's really one of the coolest parts about virtual assistants is, you know, you get someone in and you tell them to, you know, do 100 cold calls. They're going to, especially if they've been with you for a long time, they're going to whine, they're going to gripe. There is that entitlement. Like, why would I do a cold call? Whereas entitlement gets broken up when you have a virtual assistant that comes in and says, dude, this is my landing spot. Like, there's not a better job in my country. This is it's the final part of their career. Most of them have college degrees. They have 15 years in the call center industry. This is their last stop, an American-based job that has continual pay. So that entitlement gets replaced with gratitude. And when you have gratitude for tasks that are like cold calling and the stuff that people like didn't like to do, it changes the whole culture of the agency. So that was like a thing that we walked into and didn't know how awesome it was going to be.
That's awesome. Gratitude. Huge.
Attitude,
Talk about that a lot.
That is awesome.
So where's your VAs located?
So virtual assistants, they are located all across the world. So we have some in Asia, in the Philippines. More dominantly right now, we are growing most aggressively in South America, though. Puerto Rico, one of the founders just moved there April 2nd. So there'll be a huge play to push Puerto Ricans, and Puerto Ricans can get licensed because they're part of the United States. Mm-hmm. So Puerto Rico, Colombia, Nicaragua. Let's see here. We have Guatemala, zero in Brazil. No, we haven't expanded there. One of the guys that I work with at Agency VA, he's from El Salvador, and I spent 2 years in between all that story that I told you about leaving my dad. I spent 2 years on a church mission learning Spanish, and I lived with just South Americans. No one spoke English. And so South America is kind of where my heart's at. And that's why Agency VA was right up my alley, because I could do the tech stuff and a portion of our profits go back. And that's my department. So my kids that I'm raising, like, they all come with me to each of these countries, and we get to take money back, and they get to see waking up in the morning and saving someone money on insurance that wasn't popping me out of bed super quick. It was cool, but I wasn't like, boom.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Unlike Craig that just jumps up to do it, right?
I wasn't super amped. And after a couple of years, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And so Agency VA has given me that new spark of like, okay, everything I do today is going to allow me in the very, very near future to take my 4 children to these countries, let them see that all the awesomeness that we have in America is amazing, but then also let them give back and serve others. And so that gets me a lot more, and it's all tech. So it gets me, I can move a lot quicker, and it's been awesome. I was going to sell my agencies, but I did not, because I found that I don't want to be that guy that had the agencies, made some money, then left and becomes disconnected. I still have an empathetic approach to agents because I still feel the pain every day. I still meet with my team. I don't want to lose that empathy. So I kept my agencies.
Wessly, when you speak to pain, what do you find is the biggest pain point in the agency?
For me, the biggest pain point is the industry has made everything hard. Like, I feel like simple things have been made to be very, very difficult. I feel like if you roll your sleeves up and work, like, this industry is phenomenal. And I feel like the biggest problem is people are afraid of their shadow. There's this elusive DOI that haunts everybody. But to me, it seems more of an excuse to not try something. And there's a lot of doing things very redundant and a lot more difficult than they have to be. I mean, I feel like our customers have told us what they want, but I feel like as an industry as a whole, we're not adhering to that. We're trying to lead in the dance of the sell, but the customer's already said, this is how I like it. This is what I want. But the industry as a whole, it's really painful for me because I don't feel like there's enough movement. I feel like there's a lot of fragmentation. A lot of agency owners think that what they're doing is, I speak with hundreds of agency owners every year, and there's the law of scarcity, I think, is the biggest. They think that what they have, someone else can't do or shouldn't see. Whereas if we had that law of abundance with insurance, because every car out there we should insure, every business we can insure, if you have the law of abundance, you're going to let people in, you're going to show them under the hood of your agency, and things are going to grow and move. But everyone's afraid of that. Everyone lies about their numbers, and I can't even do insurance meetings. Like, when I go there, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, it was so hard for me because everyone would say their numbers and I'd always feel like I sucked. And then I remember one of the marketing, I was with a company when we were walking out. I'm like, dude, I was apologetic to him. I'm like, I just listen to everybody and I suck. And he's like, you're the number one in this room. I'm like, not according to the other 30 people that just spoke. Like, I suck. And he's like, no, you're a clear number one. And I'm like, what? Like, that was like year number 2 where I was like, where am I? Like,
right.
Where did I walk into? So I think that holds the industry back. And that's a huge pain point for me because, in technology, Craig, if you're doing a texting program and I'm doing a texting program, and you run into a brick wall, you say, hey, Wes, I'm going to buy you a coffee, get you a sandwich. Can you come meet with me? Let me look at some code, kind of share, let's see where I hit this wall. And I'm like, sure, dude, I'll be right there. As long as you're buying me a coffee, I'll be right there. And we go through and we fix the problem. Well, insurance, when I would hit a wall, I would go to these guys that I knew were awesome my first couple of years, and they'd be like, who are you? And what are you going to give to me? And I'm like, I don't know. So it was very hard for me. Now people are much more kind, and it's a lot better. But I wish in my first couple of years they were like how they are with me now.
I think that goes to ego and kind of a take mentality. And I think it goes to fear, to be totally honest. I think a lot of insurance agents don't really know anything else and don't have the confidence of their own skill and being able to do something else. Like you're able to do agency VA. I mean, you obviously have enough confidence to know that you can do other industries and you're going to be okay. Whereas I think some insurance agents feel like I don't want to throw back the curtain because all my secrets and stuff is what's keeping me safe. It's kind of sad.
Which is crazy because it's like leaving one sector, the tech sector, and coming into the insurance sector. There's some brilliant minds over here, and it's a lot of untapped, frozen money. That just like I use the example. There was a guy that me and him in our teens, we were coding and programming, and it was like always 1-for-1. We were always competing against each other. And I went the insurance route. Well, he now sits in an office next to Zuckerberg. So I'm not sure I made the best choice. And when we talk, he's now light years ahead of me because I had to go backwards in the technological realm. And like I would go to the meetings and people would say, we're so innovative, we're paperless. I'm like, well, that's DocuSign. Like, that's not innovation. That's you used a vendor. Good job. Like, and you should be, what? That's not innovation. And so I had to just change my whole mindset. But their view, and like Facebook, when he talks to me, I communicate with him regularly. What these tech companies view in the insurance world is just a ton of fragmentation, a very tribal type industry. Their other guys kind of say it as like, when the white man came and killed all the Indians, terrible, sucky story. It wasn't that the Indians didn't have the numbers, is that they were tribed up and they didn't band together. And that's how the tech companies view insurance. It's not that they don't have numbers. It's not they don't have, bandwidth and brain capacity. It's that they're fragmented.
Makes sense. So let's go back to a little bit to the virtual assistant. So what is a virtual assistant for maybe let's take a few steps back so that some agents that have never heard of it before, we can start there, and then kind of like how a virtual assistant can help our agencies, the practical ways.
The best way to describe a virtual assistant, it's going to be a part of your team that is geared and is strategically in place for your $10 an hour tasks. And so whatever your $10 an hour tasks are, whether it be quoting, whether it be gathering of data, answering the phone, outbound calls, whatever it is, they focus on $10 an hour tasks. And a virtual assistant is an individual that is virtually located outside of your office and that performs whatever functions you need within your office. And so when I sit down with someone, I think you're right on, Jason, by saying like people have no idea what they are. And really to back into a virtual assistant, the best way to use them and or apply them in your agency is to find that individual in your agency that's in the most pain. And it's almost always a CSR. And I do this same exercise all the time. Nothing technological, very simple. I get a pad of paper and I have them list the top 5 things that they're doing. Write them all down. And then I have them list the percentage of time and or day they're spending on that. They write that down. It never equals 100. Always blows my mind. It's always weird numbers. It's 180. I'm like, wow, you're that good of a worker. And then on the third column, which is the most important, is like, how much pain is this causing you? And like, you may think that this individual loves the quote, and you may find that it's 70% of their day and it's a 9 on the scale of pain. And so when I go to that individual, that CSR, and I say, okay, I'm going to get a virtual assistant to do your quoting. Now, if I do that for you, first off, you have to oversee it and make sure they're successful in doing it. You have to hold them accountable, teach, train, make them good. But second off, once the virtual assistant or the VA has this completed, I'm going to come back to you and we're going to have new things that are profit generating tasks. You know, we're going to increase your responsibilities. And so that's how I run my company. As I sit down with everybody and we do that same exercise. And if there's a $10 an hour task, I have them do it. So within my agencies, if you call LA or Salt Lake City, they're both answered by virtual assistants. Everything inbound is answered by a VA. Quoting, commissions, a ton of outbound calls. Go ahead.
Commissions?
Yeah, I have them do, because commissions for me, it's just gathering reports. It's data gathering. I have to gather reports from all the different carriers. It was taking me like 3 hours a day. So when I did the exercise with myself, it was a number 10 on the pain scale. Like I would almost do any other task every month than commissions because I hated it so bad.
Yeah. Makes sense. I hate
VA helps. They help me with that. It helps it so our office can be, it's 24/7 open. So there's always stuff going on. I look at my insurance office like an organism. It really doesn't shut down. It just keeps on going. There's always something to do within my office. That's one thing that blows my mind with insurance is I've never left a day of insurance and felt like I completed everything I wanted to. I always have so many loose ends and so many things I can do. And so the VA has kind of helped ease my mind a little bit because I go in and I can look at the things that are causing me pain, and I can have the virtual assistant do that.
That's awesome.
How many VAs do you have in your agency?
I think collectively I'm at like 17 right now.
Wow. And then how many non-VAs?
Oh man, that's Utah. Utah's kind of ran weird because we have people that got insurance licensed, but maybe just sell life insurance or maybe do loans, but they got insurance license so we can give them money. So I wouldn't even consider them. I would say right now so it's about 20 people between the two and 17 VAs. I use the example of VAs in my office. It's kind of like dual screens. I don't know if you guys are a dual screen office, but if you went in tonight and took everyone's screen, what would happen? And you made them all single screen people. Would that be received well?
No. They'd have a meltdown.
That's how VAs are in my office. If I went in and tried to take the VAs, it's similar to the screens. They would have a mutiny. And if it's positioned properly, like the way I said, where you feed a pain point, you give someone accountability, they take ownership of the success of the virtual assistant, then it works. If you just blindside your team with VAs, they're thinking they will think they're going to get replaced, and it will not be well received.
So could somebody technically have like 2 agents and 18 VAs and?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. And the cool thing about VAs is it's an expense. So like from your guys' perspective of hiring and firing, staffing is our number. It doesn't matter to the industry, but especially in insurance, it's the number one expense.
Number one.
Well, it's the number one pain point. It's the number one stress. It's a big deal. You have to worry if they're going to, like California, holy crap, are they going to sue you? Yes, they are. When are they going to sue you? So where VAs can be exciting. Yeah. I freaking, that blew my mind when I was in it. That still blows my mind. VAs, it's an expense. And they're not going to sue you. If your VA sucks, you call me and say, Wes, my VA sucks. Okay, let's get you another one. Like if you try to say that to an American, oh God, heaven forbid you tell them they suck, but like, like it's just an expense. It hits the credit card. And I explain to insurance agents, VAs are like supplemental insurance. Your American, your team are like health insurance. Supplemental insurance is not in place in position to replace health insurance. It's just to supplement it. It's a steroid shot. If it doesn't increase productivity, if it doesn't generate profit or income, you shouldn't do it. So that's kind of how it has to be positioned within the agencies.
This is so fascinating. And just to map out, like, it's like, okay, well, they can almost do everything. But at the same time, how do you organize it and figure out? It's
That's the magic.
big.
So like little things, like we use Slack. Inter-office communications, all Slack. That's a free program. So we use Slack for that. They have an extension in our VoIP phone system. So if you want to talk to John in Colombia, you hit extension 103 and you're right on with John. They come to all our meetings. So when you come to one of our sales meetings, you'll have a screen with a virtual assistant that's there. They're a part of everything. The more the VA feels acclimated, the more they feel a part of your team. The input definitely determines the output, and they rock and they kick butt, and you develop that synergy within the office. The agencies that have not, like the VA didn't work, I can look at the software and I can say, when was the last time you spoke to your VA? It'll be like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I'm like, if you put an American in a cubicle and don't speak to them for 3 or 4 weeks, getting the exact same outcome. But if you're communicating with them daily, if you're talking with them, you start learning about their kids, start bringing them in to your whole team, it's awesome.
Humanize them.
Humanize them.
So I'm a little interested in the quoting part of this. So you're feeding them leads, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing your own marketing?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm kind of getting in. Tell me if it's too far.
No.
So you're running ads,
mm-hmm.
Facebook, YouTube type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then you're doing those 24 hours. You're running them to your VAs.
Mm-hmm.
They're quoting them. Do you have that all process-sized where it's exactly what they say?
Yes. So have you seen the movie Founders? Like the McDonald's movie?
Yes.
It's on Netflix right now.
So good.
Like if you ever remember, Ron Swanson is at the gym. I mean, he's at on a blacktop and he's sitting on a ladder and he chalks out and maps out how to make a hamburger and how to do this. And here's where the fry station is. And if you're like a two-handed lettuce rogue, they're one-handed lettuce people. You're out. Like this is how it's done. That's the system. That's the process. And that's their magic is they wrote it down and they perfected it and they made it better and better and better. And so with the quoting, that is exactly what we do. The virtual assistant asks the questions and they do the data input and they get everything prepared and they say, you know what, I have Craig on the line who could potentially qualify you for further discounts. They don't ask. I'm going to go ahead and transfer. And then Craig would be my licensed individual. By the time it hits Craig, everything's mapped out. It's put in place. Craig sells and closes. And
nice.
So there, and the VA the next day is just getting people on the line and doing those live transfers, and then has the various data points that we need completed and ready for our agents. So our agents, like again, going back to that 2-screen analogy, like if we take this away from them, like I've made really lazy agents.
Yeah. It's good. It's your job.
The agents.
They do fine. They're able to, and they love their VAs because their VAs make them more money.
Right.
So,
and sorry, Craig.
Oh, go. We're just like,
I know a lot of questions. This is Pandora's box, right? So how many quotes are your agents? What's their metric? Like how many calls are they supposed to make? How many quotes are they supposed to get? How many people get them those quotes? And what are you looking at? P&C?
I like to pair kind of like the dual screen mentality. I like 2 VAs to 1 licensed individual. That's if I can make it ideal. I don't have that operating. So that's what I want. I'm not doing it. I don't have that functioning properly. But if I can have 2 VAs to 1 salesperson, that's ideally where I want to be. And I want the salesperson every 30 minutes to an hour engaging with a client, getting live transfer to whatever they can handle. And so, I mean, the virtual assistant plugs all the data into the rater, gets everything prepared. Well, the qualification process then with the American is, trying to being honest to what we say. Craig is here to qualify you for more discounts. So then the American goes and tries to clean up. People will stay on the line if they feel like, the number is going down and they're going to be paying less potentially. And the American can sell because the VA can't sell. They're not licensed. They can just do data input. So if Craig is on the other line and the VA and the VA is called Craig, and Craig says, well, what if I do full coverage or liability on this? You need to be licensed for that part. So VA says, and they're trained, you know what? I have John here right now. I'm going to transfer you to John, and boom, that goes right to John. But interestingly enough, that doesn't happen a lot. Like the data input is on personal lines. I don't know commercial very well. I'm learning it, and it's a big goal of mine for 2019. But personal lines is so linear to me. There isn't much variation. It's same questions. It's a lot of the same. And so due to that linear nature, a virtual assistant's fine in there, because it's, as long as they're going in and getting those data points and getting that data, we can move forward with a quote.
And this is, so you said any time of the day, right? So you have them working 24 hours. So somebody calls at midnight and they want a quote. You have a VA that answers that phone, takes that quote, and then obviously there isn't an LS, or we call them LSPs, but you don't have a licensed person at that point. So then it's whatever, it's set up for tomorrow, put into your phone system or whatever. You're probably on Infusionsoft, and, throw it in your Infusionsoft, and then it's ready to rock and roll when that person comes in the morning.
Yes. So we don't get a lot at night though. That doesn't happen a lot. Okay. And most of our nightly tasks are like admin type stuff. So like getting, like, the American comes back, and what do you guys call them? LSP? I'll speak your
licensed sales producers.
Okay. The LSP, before they clock out, because their VA is assigned to them, has a laundry list of things for their VA to do. When the LSP, they clock out, they send those tasks off. When the LSP comes in the morning, they're all completed. So there's more of like that admin, because what was happening was I was paying my LSPs crazy high money to gather data. I was paying them, I just want them to close and make more money. I was paying them crazy high money to do clerical stuff, a lot of clerical stuff. And so that's why when I sit down with them and you kind of start learning, oh my gosh, I do not want you quoting. Like, I just need you there to sell, massage the quote, qualify them for further discounts, and get credit cards. And, and like, let's get moving. So yeah. So
what is your average? So your version of what we call LSPs, what is their talk time on a daily basis? Because you're pushing them out to optimize talk time, right? I mean, because that's the goal. If we can get them selling, right, then they're going to create better results. So I need to hear this number.
Cool. It's twofold for us. So if you go on my Utah, and I need to put on my California, on my Utah agency website, we mapped out our whole process, just so everyone can see. But our process is as follows. VA asks 5 questions: name, date of birth, address, what do you currently pay for your insurance, and then if we can save you money and or increase coverage, will you move forward? Because we want you to say no at the starting right there, because then it's like, okay, well, we don't want to waste time if you're not serious about this. So then VA, if they don't, like, if the person won't stay on the line, this is more reality. They don't stay on there. Like, hey, we give those 5 pieces of data. VA says, okay, I'm going to call you back. Then VA data scrapes from those pieces of data, and we have platforms that will pull driver's license numbers, VIN numbers, everything. And the VA usually does this in text at this point, verifies, do you still have these vehicles? The system's pulling up this, are these the drivers? Gets everything, all the data entry input. How we do it and how we have had more success actually is then the American makes a video, and 1 minute, 23 seconds of personalized video to that individual that's texted. So I would say, hey, Craig, this is your current coverage and your current pricing. This is what we're proposing. 1 minute, 23 second link texted to you. And the VAs are calling about that, because I didn't want the VAs to call and be traditional and say, do you like your rate? Is the insurance, is that good? Is that good pricing? Is it good coverage? No. The VAs call and say, have you seen the video? Now our software shows us if they've seen it, but have you seen the video? Does the video make sense? Anything, do you have any questions? And then once they get the individual on, then they're just live transferring to the agent that made that video. Did that make sense?
Love this.
It does. That's freaking incredible. And so then what does your licensed people's talk time end up being?
Oh, it's so short. Like you would think
No,
that the questions.
oh, okay, I see. No,
Yeah.
but I mean,
in a day, they're on the phone in an 8-hour day. They're probably on 5.5 hours. And then
so there you go. Boom. Like we have the opposite. Like we have, we hear from agents in our space where it's an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then they're just doing all of these clerical tasks, chasing inspections, doing EOIs, and doing all of these things that they should absolutely not be doing.
Total 80-20 rule in the insurance world.
Mm-hmm.
And really the LSPs are doing 80% things they shouldn't, 20% things that make money. And so the clerical type stuff needs to stop. And that's the thing. I think going back to what Jason said, the ego and the pride, a lot of agents don't want the VA to do it because they hyperinflate their valuation of what they're doing. But the honest ones are like, no, that's a $10 an hour task. That's pretty simple. Yeah. Like getting an EOI is like babysitting someone and calling the bank. It's just repetitive crap. It's not, you don't need a degree in rocket science to do a lot of the personal lines in insurance.
I love that. Hyperinflate the value of what you're doing. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump on you there, dude, but
no, that's what we do. I'll go to the end and then come back. So what is the cost of a VA? I'm sure everybody's
VAs are contingent upon if they're licensed and how they score in that platform that Craig was talking about, Agency VA University. They are anywhere from $10 to $14 per hour.
Okay.
And just hits your credit card. So when I came into Agency VA and started working with them, I'd worked with a whole number of outfits out there. They were like 18-month contract, $2,500 down. And I said, you've never sat in a room with insurance agents. I don't know how you're so disconnected with the marketplace. If you give these guys 18 months to think about anything, they're going to think of the potential risks associated. What could happen in 18 months wrong? So what we have to, and I was just laughed at when I came to the board and said this, I said, what we have to do is set up our billing like insurance, meaning a month before the service is rendered, it hits their credit card. If they don't like our VAs midterm and they want to cancel, we return their money back. If you guys don't believe, and in the tech world, if someone has a setup fee, that means they don't believe in their own product and they're having you beta test it. And you're paying for it. So I said, we're taking off the setup fee. We're taking off commitments. You take that off with insurance agents and you free their mind a little bit. Why would they not try it? And they were like, well, our attrition's going to skyrocket. We're going to have people leaving us. And really, our attrition is under 10%. I think last quarter it was 7.2%. And so they don't leave. And the 7.2%, I agree with the agent when they come to me and say, it's not a good fit. I'm totally on board with them. I'm like, yeah, this, you should stop. You should get your money sent back to you. You're not ready right now. Because systematically in process, you need to clean up a little bit, clean house a little bit, before a VA fits.
Mm. Seems like in a scaled up, somebody who wants to scale and really blow it up, have, let's say 10 producers, 10, sitting in here. And then you have 15 of these or whatever the ratio is. My head is spinning right now thinking about.
That was the thing to me too, is how do you scale insurance? Before virtual assistants, how do you scale insurance? First off, people aren't graduating college and waiting in line to work at our agencies.
Right.
we're not getting the cream of the crop in talent that are even considering insurance. A good CSR, and I asked this, it's a sucky question to ask, and maybe you guys don't have to answer it, but I asked 100 agencies about their best person, and their best person more often than not came from a very broken environment. And they came into insurance and they found a home within that insurance agency, and it was consistency in an otherwise chaotic world. It wasn't guys coming out of Ivy League schools that were coming into insurance. It's either someone else's problem that you're cleaning up or a big problem that you're trying to fix. I don't know. That's not a good way
Or
to
a
look at
very
it.
long, a very long learning curve, because to go from I'm a cell phone salesman to I'm now going to knock it out of the park selling insurance. I mean, there's 3 months there, right?
At least
before they're ready. And then there's like, who knows the next 6 months if they make it or not.
Yep.
And so the cost associated with 9 months of they washed out and failed is significant. And I mean, that's why there's this huge bad taste constantly. It's the turnover. And then they're like, I don't want to hire them. I'm done. It sucks. Right. And then you stick with who you have, who's mediocre, but it's better than the alternative, which is that,
True.
9 months of pain.
But going, and this is kind of the theme of this whole podcast, going back and letting your ego out and your pride out. The people leaving your door are the first people you should ask why. And more often than not, if you like take them to dinner and like let it end on it, like let your ego go and your pride go and take them to dinner and sit them down, you'll find that the reason they're leaving are the things the VAs need to be doing. I'm so sick of quoting. I can't have another customer call and chew me out again. I can't, like, it's all these $10 an hour tasks that they shouldn't be doing anyways. It's that 80-20 rule. And so that's one thing that I found, because especially in LA, I think there was 1 year I hired, I can't remember what my end number being, but I was approaching like 74 people that were in and out, in and out, in and out. And I finally like dropped my own pride and I was like, I suck at this. I can't find good talent. This is not my skill set. And why are they leaving? I feel like I have a great environment. And once I got the VAs and once I started making that environment a little bit better for them, I don't have nearly the attrition that I had. I don't have the turnaround. We now get calls for people that want to come work with us. Whereas I was scrubbing Facebook, Indeed, all the different sites to get anything I could. And try, like, this is so rude, but I would always say I was always polishing a turd. Like I would just I just sit and polish that turd, man. Like, this is going to work out. Like and it was just a turd at the end of the day. And I was a turd too, though. Like, I have to take ownership. Like, everything kind of sucked. Like, I wouldn't want to work for myself. But we've cleaned a lot of that up. And so now we have, I had 2 Facebook messages today of people like, hey, can I come work with you? And I don't have the bandwidth right now to bring anyone on, but I never had that. And so I just keep a list of those people.
That's awesome. So
you have 3 like agents in your office. Is that what I got, or did I misunderstand that? You have 17 VAs, and then how many humans?
So each office is totally different. So there's 17 VAs, and between the 2, there's probably like 20 people. But people that are just doing insurance, but people that are just correct. But people that are just doing insurance, even between the 2 offices that like don't have another side hustle or a side gig, or like that, like people that just do PNC, we're probably only at 7 or 8 between the 2 offices that just do PNC.
And how much, it doesn't necessarily transfer over, but how much are they writing a month in premium?
I need a good agent to write 80,000 in premium, and I need to get them there within month 2. So, and
that's like probably 50 in our world, but I mean, which is, enormous.
Yeah. I need them to do 80,000. So they'll do like, it usually starts out, 20 or 30 month 1. And then I need it to double by month 2 and be about, 60 to 80. And I usually try to get them between that 60 to 80 mark consistently. I'm feeding them everything. They're just taking inbound calls. The only thing I want them to do is close the sell. And I do like them to work with their referral sources. So be a value add in their community. And so like when we go to lenders and stuff, we have a different approach. We don't talk about insurance. And more, we reference social media and stuff. That's actually a small percentage of where we get our business. The majority is from lenders. And when I go into a lender, I sit next to them and I don't talk about insurance because they freaking hate it. And the expectation is I should have the best price and the best coverage. That's my expectation. So I shouldn't talk about that. I ask them what's going in their office. I ask pain points, and I either generate leads for them, which is something that they love. So I generate more leads for other people than I do myself. But the biggest thing I do is I'll sit down with the head I don't even know what they're called, lender guy, the guy that's in charge of the office, and I'll have him and his team there, and I'll say, how many of you guys email him? Everyone raises their hand. How many of you guys text him? Everyone raises their hand. How many of you call him? Everyone raises their hand. And I look at him and I say, that endeavor alone has got to be killing you. And he's like, it kills me. And so I say, what if I set up a program and establish a database where everyone put their information in one singular spot? So they don't text you anymore, call you, or email. It's all in Slack. So Slack is free. I become the admin. I fix that problem. And as I'm walking out to the car with the guy, it's always the exact same story. He'll say, Wes, how much do I owe you? And I'll say, oh, have I not told you yet? There's going to be an insurance channel in there. Just send your people over. You know, if you feel like that what we're doing is good, send your people over, just their name, you know, and just some basic information. We'll take care of them. After we take care of them, we go back in that Slack channel and we make a video of what we did. So everybody is seeing that. And so that's how we get a lot of business. So I like my agents to go and do that for more agencies. And so why they're there, say I'm in your office, Craig, they actually have a VA that's building the Slack for your office. So it's being built while they're at the office. By the time they leave, they have it downloaded on every computer, every phone. It's all set up, and they come back monthly, you know, to talk about new integrations with Slack, how to use it better. Also, every time that lender hires someone, who's the first call? Us. So we can do it virtually, but we like to come in, shake the hand. We set up their user. And every time they fire someone, who do they call? Us. And so we have a pulse on all communication, all agency activity.
Right.
And it's awesome.
You hold the keys to the flow of their information. I mean, how genius is that? And it's free. How many Slack workspaces do you have along the left side of your?
Right now I have 7. So I normally have between 7 and 10, and then I give them to an agent if I get one. But yeah, right now I have 7.
Yeah, I use Slack across all the different businesses that I'm involved in. I mean, we have a Slack workspace for this podcast, and that's how we push files and pictures and all this stuff back and forth. I mean, but this is next level. I mean, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it works out well, and you're providing a service to these guys that was a pain point that the owner of that mortgage company was feeling. He was hurting because of all the texts, calls, emails, and you're coming back and bringing data to him and being like, you have Sally out there doing admin type stuff. She's in every conversation in your sales channel. Like, you may need to move her, switch her. Like, I'm just showing you the data and the analytics. Like, you may consider that. Then you come back next week and they're like, holy crap, I never thought to try that. Sally's now in sales and she's dominating. And you have the data that says, look, I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. I don't even know who Sally is, but she has commented 50 times this past week in that sales channel. She likes sales, and you have her doing admin stuff. And everyone is a keyboard crusader now. Everyone, like, their real personality, unfortunately, comes out behind the keyboard. And so we need to capitalize on that. And that's where Slack comes in really well.
That's awesome. And what about your telemarketing VAs? About how many leads are they providing an hour?
I need 2 live transfers per hour for the VA to be, that's my goal. So every hour they need to be ripping out 2. Do they do that all the time? No. But that's my goal and that's what I established for them. But the pool of what they're working could be a referral from a lender, which is going to be hot and has a time frame, and they need the EOI by this day, so it's quick and it moves fast. Or it could be a cold list, or it could be social media lead generation. It's all into one. I want them just to work, just to go working. But I like them to do 2 live transfers per hour.
And on a bad day, what's your average? Like
on a bad day, they'll do 3 in the day.
Just 3 out of 8 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. And then a good day, it's 16?
Yeah. Well, I don't have anyone that does the 2 per hour that's done it consistently. So a good day would probably be 8 or 9 would be a good day. Just shy 1 above. I want them to do 2, and I take it personally. Like, I need to make my systems, our automations, everything better. I believe they should be able to do 2. But I certainly know that it's not their effort and their bandwidth. It's on my end. And so I want to get them to 2. I just have a ways to go. The better I get with automation, the better it's my close ratio, my everything is getting better.
And you provide all those systems. So let's say somebody that's listening to this, they want to telemarketer, they're not having to oversee the technical side of this. That's where agency VA comes in, and then they're just talking training.
Yep. So like Ricochet, I feel like that's a huge one. And I think that's in all states world. You guys use Ricochet. So we bought that software, and all the stupid setup costs. If you've ever done it, all the setup itself is a nightmare. Well, if an agent comes in and wants to do lead generation, we just say, okay, look, our cost for seat is like $130. You pay that $130 and let's go. So they're not subject to the whole Ricochet thing within their office, but just the one singular seat. So you go from a couple $1,000 monthly expenditure to $130, and then you get access to all the power of Ricochet. And further, we have Ricochet humming because we do it all day, every day. And so we plug in the scripts. It's very much so plug and play.
So then do you webhook it into, like, let's say, because I have Ricochet. So then as soon as they transfer it, it webhooks that lead into
into your system.
I like it. Cool, man. So how can people get a hold of you?
They can Facebook me, Facebook message. They can go to my website. If you Facebook me, there's a good chance, because I was getting triple digits of Facebook messages. So I have a VA helping me. If it has star at the end of the message and it says you're receiving help from Nadine, talented VA Nadine, it's Nadine, but she gets back to me. And so again, don't be alarmed if that happens, but Facebook Messenger is huge. That's where a lot of people communicate with me. Agencyva.com.
Cool.
We do a number of tutorials and make sure everyone's a good fit that's working with us. Not everyone's a good fit for a VA, and we're learning really quickly who is and what is. So agencyva.com and Facebook, because my parents did my name so weird. There's not many Wesleys, Wessly. So it's easy to find me.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it'll be tough for you.
Well, I know Craig and I will definitely be in touch very shortly.
Yeah. I need to get off this phone so I can fill out my form on your website. But yeah, this is super, super exciting, Wessly. And thank you so much for coming on. Perhaps we'll have to do a part 2.
Sure.
At some, because this is just, fascinating.
That'd
And they
be
can
awesome.
also, I heard in there, they can go to your agency website and see the process.
Yeah, financialnetworkins.com. That's my Utah agency. It has we've created icons for exactly what I told you guys, like, because I just kept getting asked that question.
Yeah.
This is 5 questions. Then it goes, VA does this. It maps it out.
Did you map that out, or did a VA map that out?
Pretty much everything that I do, a VA has done. And so
nice.
Yeah, I have 3 different companies I have to remain the guy, with. And so, yeah, the VAs are super integral in everything I do.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. We have a hard stop here right now, so we better jump and respect your time as well.
Cool. Yeah. Let me know if I can help you guys with anything at all.
Same with us, man. And I would love to pick your brain a little bit more about just some of the processes beyond just the VAs. I love the idea behind the Slack and how you're helping other people. It's crazy how much you get when you help people. Like, we always talk about it. Craig and I always talk about that too. It's like we come from such a history of where it's, what can you do for me? And now we're in a world where it's reversed. I guess we always have been, but I guess it wasn't preached as much. But like, if you help other people, they'll help you back. That's how you get people to help you. So it's crazy.
And that's how the tech sector is like blown up, is if you look at the family tree of each tech company, like it's like a bunch of guys at Adobe then come over here and create Podium, and then they create this, and they were all started here and they splinter. But the thing is there isn't fragmentation. When the individual leaves Adobe and goes and does Podium, they don't cause war and or hate each other. Like in insurance, when you have your top guy and he leaves, that pride and ego, it's like, why'd you leave me? And there's so much anger and emotion, and it just further fragments the industry. Whereas in the tech sector, it's like, how can I help? Like, dude, it sucks that you're freaking leaving me, and I wish I had an offering that would keep you here, but you know, you got to go. Okay, well, let's stay in contact and let me help. And it is more of that, like, what can I do to help you?
I love it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Incredible.
guys, have a good one.
All right, you too,
buddy.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Dude, I mean, are you kidding me? That was...
Your Insurance Dudes podcast is sponsored by Agency Vault, an industry leader in agency coaching, hiring and retaining top talent, and sales training with the 7-step trusted advisor sales framework. Are you up for the challenge? For $99, you'll get 28 days of access and an opportunity to join our private platinum coaching group. For more information, navigate to www.agencyvault.com.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.